Is seaweed farming harming the marine ecosystem in Rote, Indonesia? Hi everyone, my name's Natalie, and for 6 months of the year I get to call Rote Island, Indonesia home. Every day I watch as hundreds of seaweed farmers walk out over the lagoon here and wonder if the international community has unintentionally hurt this island whilst intending to help. In 2001, the Australian Agency for International Development, AusAid, introduced seaweed farming to the communities of West Rote and Dow, with the goal of improving living standards of the people in this area. The past 15 years have seen living standards improve, however the lagoon has changed drastically, with a noticeable decline in marine life. Currently, there is worldwide controversy over the impact that seaweed farming is having on marine environments. A challenge for this inquiry was that there had been little research conducted in this remote area of Indonesia. Information and images that showed the condition of the lagoon prior to the introduction of seaweed farming were hard to come by. Once I discovered that Google Earth now has up-to-date historic satellite images, I could compare these with recent images of the lagoon. With this historic data and a general search on Google, I was then able to identify that seagrasses were under threat from seaweed farming. I then located some credible sources through Google Scholar on specific effects of seaweed farming on seagrasses. Prior to the now established and thriving seaweed farming industry, the lagoon was healthy and full of life. It was covered in seagrass and was a natural habitat for fish, sea snakes and dugongs. The local people relied on fishing and subsistence agriculture to survive. Historic images from Google Earth show that the seagrasses were much more prolific in Rote back in 2005. The process used for seaweed farming in Rote and Dow involves heavy disturbances to the natural environment, including clearing and trampling of seagrass. Plastic bottles are used as flotation, however these break off in storms and big tides and end up in the ocean or on the beach. In 2015, 918 seaweed farmers were documented walking out over the lagoon in one day to check their lines and maintain their farms. Some simple changes to seaweed farming practices could make a significant change. For example, if the farmers did not clear during establishment of the farms, the seagrass beds may have an opportunity to rejuvenate. Trampling of the seagrass could be reduced by introducing canoes, and the use of floating ropes to keep the seaweed on the surface rather than plastic bottles would keep this plastic from the ocean. The removal of seagrass and constant traffic is detrimental to the existence of the seagrasses. Research shows that seaweed farming alters the natural habitat and impacts seagrasses negatively because of light restriction and water movement. A bacterial disease known as ice disease, amongst others, is another potential problem to the native seagrass that comes from the non-native introduction of the Euchemis seaweed. The seaweed farms also shade the seagrasses, which impacts on the growth and overall health of the seagrass. Seagrass is an important food source for herbivores such as dugongs, sea turtles and manatees, and over recent years these animals, as well as the seagrasses themselves, have become vulnerable to extinction. The seagrasses provide nutrients and food for these herbivores, which draws them in from the ocean to feed. Seagrasses also influence water flow and nutrients, and so are essential for this marine ecosystem to thrive. This inquiry found that the seagrass beds are crucial for the overall health of the marine ecosystem and for the survival of many of the herbivores that feed on the grasses. The communities of West Rote and Dow relied heavily on fishing for their existence prior to the start of the seaweed farming industry. However, with seagrass beds in rapid deterioration and a drop in marine life, the future for the Rotenese is unsettling if nothing changes. My inquiry related best to these key content descriptors and cross-curriculum priority statements of sustainability.